I did a ton of walking yesterday at work, up and down hills. My legs are a little tired. So today I'm just going to take a nice cruise down a very well-maintained trail local to me. It means I probably won't see anything, any wildlife that's out of the ordinary. Although I've certainly had turkeys cross relatively close in front of me on this trail. One of the varied things that I have done in my life is go through professional training for photography. Today is one of those drippy, drizzly on and off, completely overcast days where everything's wet. And all I can think when I see days like this is one of my teachers at the photography school calling it like the world being in a light box, which means completely uniform lighting, basically no shadows, no super highlights, super saturated colors, especially because it's wet. So even though we're just slightly past peak for foliage, the foliage that we do see is, just really pretty. You got the oranges coming in on that one, and these ferns here are like a deep bronzy color. There's an oak there that is looking towards that burgundy that it gets to be. Pretty cool. As to wildlife on this trail, I just saw in one shot a gray squirrel and a red squirrel, and I'm hearing the same chickadees and nuthatches, titmice that are the winter flock around here, heard a blue jay. Just the same old stuff that I've talked about every walk. There's also chipmunks. Red squirrel behind me just throwing an enormous fit. There's a pretty little stream next to me. One of the things that my photography training did for me was it looped directly back into my background with horses, and then now with all the animals that I work with. But if you do like cross-country jumping or even just trail riding, you know that if you go from a light, like field or pasture or whatever, into a trail going into the woods, the horse is likely to balk or outright stop or slow down or be nervous. And the exact same thing happens when you go from a trail in the woods to out in an open field, or they look at a puddle on the ground and they freak out. Or even just a real bright patch of sunshine in their stall, and they'll look at it for a while. And something that photography taught me is that a camera sees, I don't want to say similarly to one of these horses or other animals. But it gave me a little bit more perspective. We as humans can look into those deep shadows and see the tree and see anything that we could stumble on, or we look into the bright area and our eyes can see that it's just an open grassy field with nothing there. But the camera or an animal will only see pitch black or bright white. And so of course they're gonna balk. They have no idea what they're walking into. And when you're a photographer, you need to choose whether you're looking into the deep shadow and then everything else around it will be bright, white basically, or whether you're looking into the bright stuff and everything around you, or everything in the shadow is just pitch black. With Photoshop, and before that obviously with manually developing film, you could splice two pictures together and get both what's in the shadows and what's in the light. But that's not something that an animal can do. And just remembering that they are, they can't see like we can. A lot of those animals, we are absolutely visual critters. And we have highly developed vision. Perhaps not night vision like a lot of animals do, but we can see a vast range compared to some animals. And cameras. Our camera sensors now. But I always find that really interesting. If an animal's not moving where I want it to, I have to pause a second and go, okay, can they actually see where I'm trying to get them to go? Of course they're freaking out. Let's just slow down. Make sure they're going to be okay. Love the fall. This vast array of colors everywhere. Even now, I'm looking at my screen and I can tell that leaf, my camera on my phone, which is really fabulous, cannot do it justice. And I know you all feel the exact same way. You take a picture of beautiful foliage or beautiful whatever, sunset. Oh my God, sunsets are impossible to capture on a camera. You just cannot get the full range of what we can see. There's something incredibly peaceful about just walking along and breathing. Everything smells wet, rich. Autumn leaves frequently smell dusty, but because of it's all wet. It's not dusty. I need to develop my vocabulary around my sense of smell. I'm like going through what I'm thinking, and a little bit fungal, a little bit like dirt, which of course the reason dirt smells like that is because of the leaves on this tree here. There's little bundles of mushrooms. That's another thing that I don't know enough about. There's always so much to learn. Keeps me interested. And it keeps me frustrated. How do I not know that? Keeps me very interested. So you know that not being able to see into the shadow, not being able to see into the light. I think sometimes that can be drawn into the way that we are, whether, optimistic or pessimistic personalities or life experiences that have engraved on our brains in positive or negative ways. And sometimes we have to remember where our blind spots are. First we have to discover where our blind spots are, because usually those aren't known. Just always veer away from something, or just literally don't see it. After a while, we don't see that there could be good things happening. Or we freeze up if something bad happens, and then pivot and look the other way. Much like a horse shying away from a dark wood or that puddle that they can't see the bottom of. So the tiny tree frogs, spring peepers, have been known or have been heard every single month of the year. And it's mid-October, directly mid-October today, and I just hear one off in the woods. Yesterday it was like 70, 72. And today is cooler but moist, and that little booger out there is like, yeah, this is awesome. My partner and I were having a discussion this morning about frogs, and he's awesome in that he has a bunch of natural history knowledge as well. But his interests have gone in other directions than mine have as well, and so he said, like, there's those species of frogs that freeze solid over the winter. And I said, all of them do that are in a climate that gets that cold. And he said, but don't they dig down into the mud? And that's totally true, but you know, if you're gonna, what I said to him is, if you're gonna dig a frost-free hydrant, or if you're gonna sink a fence post, it needs to be 3 feet in the ground to get below the frost line. Frogs are not gonna dig that deep, is basically what he said. So, it's kind of fun. So that little peeper out there, he's gonna freeze solid over the winter. Come the spring, he's gonna thaw and keep on peeping. Totally freaking awesome. Apparently, also, if we get a really good January thaw, he could thaw, peep some, and then go right back into stasis. Alright. It's still fairly close, but not quite close. I don't know if you guys know about the chicken-like birds, the poultry-like birds that are wild, the grouse and the even turkeys. They don't fly real great. And if they, you know, they putz around on the land, on the ground, in the woods, with all these dead leaves, so they can't kind of scurry away without giving themselves up. So they huddle down really close to the ground and really, really still, and wait until you're on top of them, and then explode off the ground and fly away from you. And I just had a grouse do that. I never saw it, but that's what they do, and that's what I know is around here. But it always stops your heart for a second, just because that is exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to startle you long enough that it's away before you can catch it. I was walking a pasture earlier in the summer, and it was, you know, thigh-high grass. And I had a turkey do that to me. I swear to God, I almost wet my pants. Not only that, but it was a hen turkey, and as she took my attention and my breath and heartbeat for a minute, her little poults, baby turkeys, went scurrying off into the grass. It was totally fun. Look at that orange tree. It's so pretty. So we had a lot of these caterpillars, if you can see in that tree, directly in the middle and around there. These caterpillars, I know that gypsy moths do it, gypsy moth caterpillars do it, but I have a feeling that there's more than just the one species. They build these like spiderweb like tents around entire branches so that they have like a nice little safe place to eat and grow big enough to create cocoons and turn into moths. And not great for the tree. I remember when I was growing up, there was one year that there was a big explosion of them, and the trees just looked completely cobwebbed, and that leaves a whole bunch of leaves on that tree that can't photosynthesize because they don't get any sun. And like I said, not great for the trees. There's something beautiful about these hemlocks, the dark green there, next to the beeches and maples and birches. It's pretty exciting to live around here in the fall. And the ground is just covered in orange leaves. Beautiful burgundy of the oak before it turns brown. So next time you have an animal around you, or if you notice yourself turning away from something, think about if it's something that's in your blind spot. Something you can't actually see because your eyes can't adjust. Talk to you later.